Welcome! I'm Anita with BeanDesigns.com with this week's digital scrapbook layout. As you can see here, this week's layout is a part of a two-page spread I created for my wedding album. You'll notice on the two-page spread, I did not do the edging on the center so that I could have a smooth transition from left to right. I also flipped one of the pages so that the outer edges are the same and the inner edges are the same. With this two-page layout, I have the two main photos, and I have a row of smaller accent photos with photo prongs on the bottom left and let's see, bottom right and on the top left to make these seem to be one. Let's concentrate on just the left portion of the layout. And let's take a look. I started our new image already with the 3600 by 3600 pixels. I have my guidelines providing a 1/2 inch border around the perimeter. I've also opened my background papers already here in GIMP. I'm going to just drag and drop those onto our image. And you'll notice that I have my photos already here. I've sized them and cropped them. I have the large photo at 1800 pixels square and the small photos at 1000 pixels squared. If you wanted this to be a standalone page, you could always center these two sets. But since I did use it as a part of a two-page spread, I'm gonna move the bottom three closer to the center and leave this top one offset to the left a little. Additionally, if you wanted to just have two photos, you certainly could. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about actually completing this layout. So the next thing I need to do is I'm going to bring in our string of beads. And with our string of beads, we're going to place that here so that it creates 2/3 on the top and approximately 2/3 on the top and 1/3 on the bottom. And we're going to want to remove this top paper from our image so that we can see the bottom paper for the bottom. I will make a side note here that I have my preferences set so that all of my images, when I put them into a GIMP new image, everything, all of my digital kit pieces come in with an alpha channel. A layer needs to have an alpha channel if there's going to be transparent parts to it. Let me show you. This is a PNG. On a PNG type of file, you have the area that has coloring or contains components, and you have clear parts. This image has an alpha channel that allows for this transparency. If there was no alpha channel in this image, like a JPEG, then this background would be white. So since I do a lot of my primary use for the GIMP is digital scrapbooking, and I'm constantly needing to have clear areas, transparent areas on my components, I set my preferences so that everything I bring in has an alpha channel. Okay, that is the digression. Let's move forward. What we're going to do with this is we're going to use our free select tool, and we're going to draw a line along our beads, and we're going to select an area here underneath the beads that we're going to remove or delete from this top paper. And it just joins together, and you see marching ants appear. We're going to make sure we're on the correct layer, so we'll go over to our layer palette, highlight that layer, and I'm going to push the delete key on my keyboard. I'm going to just drag and reorder the bead layer so that it is on top of the photos and the background paper. I'm going to select none to take away the marching ants, and let's increase. So now you can see we have our top paper, we have our bottom paper, and it appears that the beads are separating the two, cutting them in half. So our next step would be to bring in our swirls. So let's go ahead and drag and drop our swirl onto our layout. There's two things that I want to point out about this. First of all, it's too big. Second of all, it's the wrong color. So I'm going to alpha to selection. So I highlighted the layer on which the swirl is. I right clicked. Then I'm going to use alpha to selection to create a set of marching ants all the way around everything. We can use colors and colorize and simply change the color on it, and it'll maintain all the other dimension parts. So to choose our color, I'm just going to click here in the color area, and it will bring up my toolbar. I can use my color select and go over to some blue here. Click on that blue. See the current is new. Push OK. And you can see that it already changed our element. So I'm going to push OK. I'm good with that color. So I'm going to select none. And now we need to resize it. So I'm going to use our scale tool and click on that. And let's do there. And we're going to rotate it. I'm just going to make it simple. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to flip it vertically. There we go. That's what I want. Move, tool, and we're just going to put this under our photo. See, we've got little swirls that peek out. Let's duplicate it. Use our flip tool to flip it horizontally. And then grab it and carry it over to the left. And I'm going to just about there. So we've just got tiny swirls. So just a very faint hint of swirls underneath our large photo. Let's pull in our photo prongs. So on this layout, I don't really want to overwhelm everything with lots of metal photo prongs, but I like the accent that they provide. So I'm going to put one on the upper left and one on the bottom right of this large photo. Then I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to make it smaller. Let's resize that. I'm going to scale it to be half the size. Scale, use my move, and put it over here. So remember, this was a 2-page spread. So I would put this one here, and then I would use a bottom right corner over on my second page. So say you wanted this to be your only page, a standalone page, then you would just take a resized version of the bottom right and put it over here. So I'm going to now ink the edges of our photos. So I duplicated a copy of the large photo. Then I did alpha to selection. I'm going to feather that selection by 25, and I'm going to shrink that selection by 10, and then delete that portion and add a difference mode to what remains. I'll repeat that process for all of the other photos. I will also add a multiply mode around the edge of my layout. So here is a copy of our finished layout. This one is part of the 2-page spread. So you see I did not multiply this edge so that it's plain as it joins with the other side. And there we have our completed layout, which is part of my 2-page spread. I did use the GIMP version 2.10.20, which at the time of this recording is the most recent version. I do have GIMP templates, XCF files of all of my weekly layout tutorials available on beandesigns.com. Just go visit www.beandesigns.com to see how to get those free templates so you can use them for your creations. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you did, please explore Being Design's YouTube channel because there's other layout videos as well as tutorials on using GIMP and creating great digital scrapbook pages. While you're there, feel free to subscribe and click the bell so you'll be notified when a new video is released. You have a great day. See you later.